Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Goki deck profile. So this is a deck that you guys have been requesting like crazy for me to do, and I am finally going to do it. I'm really excited for this one because this deck is absolutely crazy. It can summon some really insane cards. It actually is one of the decks that can still U-Link, which is actually insanely consistent, and it's really cool that this deck can actually still do that. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below where you have all sorts of awesome rewards you guys, like getting your name description for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hand. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Goki Super X. So Super X is pretty good in the deck because it has the ability to be able to, when this card is normal summon, you can special summon another Goki monster from your hand, and if this card is sent to the graveyard from the field, you get to add a Goki card from your deck to your hand. So the card that you're always going to open up with this card is Twist Cobra, that you're always going to want to get, because Twist Cobra has the ability that you can quick effect tribute a Goki monster and then target one Goki monster you control, and it gains attack equal to the original attack of the tributed monster until the end of the turn. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Goki card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Goki Twist Cobra, and you can only use each effect this card once per turn. So being able to normal summon out your copy of Super X and then Twist Cobra and then link them together and grab 2 searches off this is really nice to be able to go into a copy of Isolde, and then you're going to get a search off of each one of these, and then the Isolde is going to give you a search, and then the Isolde is also going to give you special summon, which is really cool. And then you can also grab a copy of Goki Rematch to be able to special summon back your 2 monsters onto your side of the field, and then just snowballs from there. So basically, Super X plus Twist Cobra is like my favorite opening combo. It's very old school of the deck, but it's still the best one. We then play 2 copies of Goki Guts. Goki Guts is pretty cool too, because if this card has the ability, if this card is in defense position, it can't be destroyed by battle. And then during your opponent's main phase, or during your main phase, you can make all Goki monsters you control gain 200 attack. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Goki card from your deck to your hand, which is a really good substitute if you don't have the copy of Twist Cobra in your hand. Goki Guts kind of does the same thing, but I usually want to special summon Guts off my copy of Isolde, so then I can use its effect off of that. We then play 2 copies of Octo Stretch as well. Octo Stretch is pretty good because it has the ability that if an opponent's monster attacks, during damage calculation, you can discard this card, and then any damage you take from that battle is halved. And when your opponent activates an effect that would inflict damage to you, then you can quick effect discard this card, and you take the damage is halved as well. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to add a Goki card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself, which is a really good effect as well. We then play a single copy of Headbat. Headbat is really good as one of. You don't want to special summon this card off Isolde that much, but it's there in case you need it. Basically, you're playing Batman as a one of, because if this card is in your hand, you can send one other Goki card from your hand to the graveyard to target a Goki monster you control, and special summon this card in defense position. If you do, the targeted monster gains 800 attack until the end of the turn. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, then you get to add 1 Goki card from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect just to be able to grab a Goki card from your deck to your hand. We then play a single copy of Ring Trainer. I like 1 copy of Ring Trainer in my build because if you have no cards, you can reveal this card. If you control no monster, you can reveal this card in your hand and then target a Goki Link monster in your graveyard and special summon this card from your hand, and then you special summon the targeted monster, but it loses 500 attack until the end of the turn, or it loses 500 attack. And then you can also only use this card once per turn, and when you control a Goki Link monster, this card cannot be destroyed by battle either, which is a pretty good effect as well. I like playing this card as a one of in the deck. If you don't play any Goki Link monsters in the extra deck, which I like to play the Goki Link monsters in the extra deck, you kind of run into the issue of you can't really use this card. So if you don't play them, don't play this card. We then play 2 copies of the Fire Flint Lady. Fire Flint Lady is a really good card in the deck as well, because this card can special summon itself from your hand if you control a warrior monster, and the entire deck is pretty much warrior monsters that you're going to be using with this deck. So this card is really easy to use in the deck and is a free special summon to help you link into copies of Isolde or any of your other link monsters. We then play 3 copies of Super Quantum Red Layer because it's essentially Cyber Dragon, because if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only use the following effects of this card once per turn, but you're never going to use its other effects to be able to get other Super Quantums. You're just trying to use it as a fire warrior monster to special summon to your side of the field. Speaking of fire warrior monsters, I also play a single copy of Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. Immortal Phoenix Gearfried is just a really good tech card in the deck. You don't have to play it, but I really like it because I usually search it off as Isolde, and it's a backup play for the following turn that you can banish an effect or banish an equip spell from your field or graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. And at the start of the damage step, if this card attacks, you can equip 1 face-up monster on the field of this card as an equip spell and give this monster 500 attack for every one that's equipped to it, but it has a maximum of 1 that it can equip to it. And then monsters, or when a monster effect is activated, you can send a face-up equip card you control to the graveyard to negate the effect and destroy that card. So you can basically take an opponent's monster and then negate another monster's effect. So it can essentially take out 2 cards against your opponent, which is super nice. We play 2 copies of Junk forward because you can special summon it to your side of the field if you control no monsters, which is, again, a really good effect, but you can also normal summon this if you need to. We play 2 copies of Spell Striker. Spell Striker is ridiculously good in the deck, too, because Spell Striker has the ability that you can move this card from play, or you can move from play a spell card from your graveyard to special summon this card to your side of the field. Basically, it helps you get out your copy of your Naturia Beast with your copy of TG Striker, which is really, really good. We play a single copy of Codebreaker 0 Day. 0 Day is really good because it basically helps you go full Codebreaker strategy, where you can just get out all 3 of these cards, where you get Codebreaker 0 Day, 0 Dawn, and you get the copy of 0 Day on your side of the field. You get 0 Day, you get Virus Breaker and Virus Swordsman on your side of the field really, really easily with this card, and it's just easy to link climb into those to help you U-link your opponent. We play the same copy of TG Striker. TG Striker is basically here to go into your copy of Naturia Beast, and it can special summon itself to your side of the field if your opponent controls a monster and you don't. So it's a really good card just to be able to use with Spell Striker and the copy of Junk forward to be able to go into a synchro play of a Naturia Beast. Naturia Beast can single-handedly shut down a board, which is really nice and why I played in the extra deck. Play the same copy of Ancient Cloak and a single copy of Silent Boots, because these are really good to send to the graveyard to go into your copy of Resty Bardige, and search your copy of Fogblade and your copy of Shade Brigandine from your deck. So they're really, really easy to kind of link climb in the deck to go into a copy of Shade Brigandine to be able to just lock your opponent down. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we are going to be playing a single copy of Reinforcements of the Army, because it literally searches any card we need in the entire deck, which is really nice, except for the level 5 or higher monsters. Like, you can't search any of those, but you can search any of our level 4 or lowers. We play a single copy of 1 for 1 because it summons out any of our level 1 warrior monsters from the deck, which is super nice. 1 copy of Monster Reborn because you're going to be able to use your monsters over and over with this card. 1 copy of Pot of Avarice, because Pot of Avarice is going to be able to shuffle all of your monsters that are in the graveyard, or 5 of them, back into the deck, and then you draw 2, which is going to help you shuffle your link monsters and shuffle any of your monsters that you need back in the deck to reuse them again. 1 copy of Reasoning, because Reasoning lets you be able to call level, or your opponent calls a level between 1 and 12, and then you just start revealing them. And as you've seen with the Goki monsters, you play everything from 1 to 4 with Gokis, and then you play 9s and 5s in the deck. Like, you play a lot of different levels in this deck, so Reasoning is actually really good as a tech in the deck because it just can summon just about anything in the deck. If your opponent calls 3 and you reveal 4, you get it. If you call, like, the one that I love to do is when my opponent calls like 4 or 3 and they think they're being slick, and then I reveal Phoenix Gearfried, and it's like, oh, that's not good for my health. But it's really funny when they do it. We then play a single copy of World Legacy Succession. World Legacy Succession lets you target a monster in your graveyard and special summon it to a Link Monster zone. So it's essentially like playing another copy of Monster Reborn. Same thing with Goki Rematch. Goki Rematch lets you target 2 Goki monsters with different names in your graveyard, and you special summon them back in defense position. But you can only use it once per turn, but it's a really good card to search off of your Goki monsters, and it's just an insanely good card in the deck to be able to get your plays rolling. And then for the equip spells that we're playing in the deck, for the effect of Isolde, we're actually playing only 3, because you can get the effect of Isolde with a level 1 or 2 monster in the deck, so it's not really needed. We play a single copy of Living Fossil, which is essentially another copy of Monster Reborn. 1 copy of Durandal, the Infernal Arms Durandal. This card's pretty good because when this card is equipped to a monster, you get to add a level 5 or higher, level 5 or lower warrior monster that's a fire type from your deck to your hand, and then destroy this card. And this card is sent to the graveyard because it was equipped to a monster and sent to the graveyard. You get to target a level 5 or lower fire warrior monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And also you cannot special summon monsters for this turn except for warrior monsters, which is fine by us because we only play really warrior monsters in the deck except Naturia Beast anyways, and some of the extra deck monsters, but that's totally fine. And then we play a single copy of Divine Sword Phoenix Blade because it's literally the most crazy, like, card in the entire deck because you can just instantly get it back over and over again. I'm still amazed that this card, like, dodged the ban list with all the nightmare monsters, but hey, whatever. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of the Shade Brigandine. Shade Brigandine helps out in the deck because it gives you an additional monster on your side of the field, and then 2 copies of Fogblade. Fogblade is really nice because Fogblade is just going to give you those additional plays on your side of the field to be able to negate stuff, which is why this card is really good in the deck, to be able to just negate 2 cards on the field, especially with your copy of your Rusty Bardige in the extra deck. It's really easy to go into that card with this card on your side of the field and get multiple of your copy of Fogblade to just give you extra negations against your opponent. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Isolde because Isolde is ridiculously good in this deck, and Isolde just helps out a lot to be able to get you an extender play, to be able to send equip spells to your graveyard to get a warrior monster equal to the level of the amount of equip spells you send to the graveyard, and she also lets you search a warrior from the deck, which is really cool too. You play a single copy of Goki, the Power Load Ogre. Goki, the Power Load Ogre, is an insanely good card because it's essentially a towers, which is why I play this card as a 1-of. It gains attack equal to the combined link rating of all link monsters you control, or other link monsters you control, times 200. And then this card's this link summoned card unaffected by other card effects, which is really cool to be able to just make this card and it's unaffected by everything except itself. And then also you contribute a Goki link monster, and then you get to target cards on the field up to the link rating of the destroyed monster and destroy those cards, which is really cool to be able to just get you multiple pops as well. I play the same copy of Goki, Thunder Ogre. Thunder Ogre is pretty good as a 1-of because during your main phase, they can normal summon 1 time from their hand to a zone this card points to. If this card is which is a really good effect. And if this card points to a destroyed, or if a monster's card points to destroy a battle, you can make this card gain 400 attack, and the turn player applies the following effect, which is pretty good just to be able to get an additional normal summon, but you're going to want to link this away pretty quickly. But it's a really good effect just to be able to get that additional normal summon. 1 copy of Goki, Jet Ogre. Jet Ogre is just a 1-of in the deck because it has some really neat effects to be able to pop to be able to target a Goki monster you control, destroy it if you change all monsters on the field to attack position, which helps you OTK your opponent a little bit. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, then you can make all Goki monsters you control currently gain 500 attack, which is pretty good. We play a single copy of Access Code Talker to give you additional pops, Appaloosa to be able to give you additional negations, and it's really easy to go into Appaloosa. You play a single copy of the Codebreaker Berserker. Codebreaker Berserker is really easy to go into with the Codebreaker combo. Codebreaker Swordsman is really easy to go into, again, with the Codebreaker combo. Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardige, really, really easy to go into in this deck. You just use dark monsters on your side of the field to go into this, and it gets you 2 Fog Blades, which is pretty cool. And it's a really easy card to go into in the entire extra deck, especially with cards like IP Masquerena. It's really easy to summon this. 1 copy of Unicorn, which is really awesome to be able to shuffle cards back. Phoenix to pop spells and traps. Cerberus to pop monsters. IP to go into literally any of your link monsters and protect it from being able to be destroyed by battle or by card effects. And a single copy of Naturia Beast because it can shut down the entire game, which is a really cool effect. And it's easy to summon the Naturia Beast. You might be looking at this card and going, wait, how do you even summon that in this deck? Well, there's actually a 1-of in the deck that you play, which is a TG Striker, which is searchable off of Isolde, and you can even special summon it off the Isolde. And if you have Spell Striker on your hand, or you have Junk Ford that you've gone into first, and you have either of these Earth monsters in your hand, you can summon either of these and then synchro the TG Striker away to summon out your copy of Naturia Beast, and then basically in the entire game, depending on what your opponent's playing, which is really funny to go into because they're not expecting it. So that's it for the deck, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below, because it's a super fun deck to play with, and I highly recommend you guys pick up the Gokis if you've never played them before, because it's a really easy deck to learn, and it's a very budget as well in the main deck, because you don't play anything that's not been reprinted as a common except for the Divine or the copy of Immortal Phoenix, which is not that big of a deal if you don't play it. I just play it as a tech card in the deck, but you don't have to play it if you don't want to. You can play any other card. You can play another TG Striker if you want. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.